Guys, we got some tough injury news out of joint practice yesterday. Alex Wright was carted off the field after sustaining an ankle, lower leg, foot, unconfirmed injury. He was carted off after a one-on-one rep versus Spencer Brown. Our own Chris Renkel happened to be the only Cleveland media member watching the one-on-one drills.
Renkel on the spot.
Was it watching 7-on-7?
Right
Chris,
place,
you were there.
Time? I don't know.
Yeah.
What'd you see, man? And any insight on the injury to Alex Wright?
Well, first of all, not a doctor. Want to be very, very.
But your
specific
wife
on that.
is.
But engaged to one. Yes.
I keep saying wife.
Yeah,
Soon
not
to be
yet.
wife.
Ball
Soon to be
keeps
wife.
jumping the shark.
I'm
on
sorry.
that.
And Chris is like, hold on, cowboy, not so fast.
But at least you're engaged now.
Yes. Step in the right direction.
Yeah.
He went on a one-on-one. He kind of got pushed to the outside like a lot of these one-on-ones do. He kind of went to the ground. Spencer Brown took him down. He got up. He kind of walked a little gingerly towards the sideline, and then he motioned for trainers to come over. And I saw them. They were working on his leg, looked like ankle, upper ankle kind of area. So what that is, not sure. It could be anything from a rolled ankle. It could be a torn Achilles. We don't know at this point. High ankle sprain.
You just don't know.
There's a large spectrum of things that could happen there. But the end result was he eventually was carted to the locker room, which, again, you never want to see the cart come out.
Yeah.
It was also a hot day, maybe some sort of muscle cramp there. I assume that it's not a cramp, but we'll wait and see on that. But if they do lose Alex Wright, I mean, this is already a team that's tried to sign multiple veteran pass rushers.
Yeah.
They feel thin at the defensive end issue.
They are thin.
They are. So that makes an issue much more pressing matter. They got to get somebody in here because I know they like Isaiah McGuire, but you also like Alex Wright. So you need that.
Well, Alex Wright was penned in as the starter.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so now you take probably the one area of your team that could least afford an injury, and you take potentially a starting piece out of that mix. You touched on it in the first block. We, a couple of weeks ago, did an exercise. Which unit, which part of this football team are you most concerned about outside of quarterback? Because we all agreed it was quarterback. And my answer to that was the defense. Because we lost our two most important personalities, our two most important people.
Yeah.
In Jim Schwartz as the coordinator and in Myles Garrett as the rushing defensive end. It's, all world. And so now we're looking at that, and I was glad to hear that Mason Graham looked good and was in practice, and Hall, that's another one. These guys, we hadn't seen a lot of them. We were getting a little concerned. I'm glad they're back in there and looking good. But the one area we couldn't afford to get dinged, we got dinged. You never want to see an injury.
No.
And when I heard the cart came out, I immediately thought, I didn't know it was ankle. I thought, oh no, please don't be an ACL. Please, because I know those drills when you're cornering and you're trying to get leverage, you're putting a lot of stress on the lower extremities. Let's hope it's not an Achilles. Let's hope and pray that that is not the case. If it's a sprain, we may see him in a couple of weeks. Worst case scenario, I would think if it is an Achilles, that would be season ending. That would be awful.
Yeah.
And Bull, I don't know how you replace him.
I
know you mentioned McGuire, but
yeah, I've been a huge Alex Wright guy for a number of years. He's always the guy I picked to have a breakout season. He always seems to get hurt. It's unfortunate. He's dealt with a number of injuries. I know we're all hoping that it's not serious, even though it seems to be. You never know. Maybe you get lucky. Sometimes you think it's something, and then you're right. It's maybe a cramp. I mean, that's whatever. Or even if it's an ankle sprain, that's something you can overcome. Even a high ankle sprain, which is bad, like he'll be back.
Yeah.
But if it's something like an Achilles or something like that, then obviously that's a total disaster. He's their second best defensive end. And Jared Verse is new to the team, so it's a bad loss. I mean,
it's a critical.
It's a bad loss.
I
Yeah.
think it's critical because it's opposite Verse. Verse is going to prove to everybody right away, you better double team me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, he's going to eat, and that would allow your other end to feast.
Right.
And it's important that person is good. I know the Browns were already in the market, and they swung and missed at two guys that they once had in their fold.
Yeah.
And they decided to go elsewhere. I don't know what the options are. Okay, there's some names.
Oh, I got you, Jay. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly where I was
these
going.
These guys are all past their prime, though.
They are, but do you call
need
Joey
bodies.
Bosa? Do you give him a ring and say, look, we've got a great spot open for you? How much the most attractive name to me?
How much did Joey Bosa play the last couple of years, Mike? Like,
Not
how
much,
time
I
has he
don't
missed?
I'll pull it up real quick.
He's
He
not
actually
that
was
old,
better.
is he?
He was better last year
He's
than
34.
Oh, okay.
That's a guess. I could be wrong.
who? Bosa?
Yeah. What do you got on his
He's
age?
a year older than Tyvus. He's 30. Joey Bosa's 31. Actually, just turned 31, so Tyvus' age.
Not that old.
He's got some snaps left in him.
Played
though.
15 games last year and had
All right.
5 sacks.
He had 5 sacks.
He has 10 sacks the last 2 years combined. Yeah,
In how
each of
many
the last 2
games?
years.
Give him a call then.
He played 29 games the last 2 years.
All right, so he
15
hasn't missed that much time. I thought he missed more time.
I thought
than
he
that.
missed
He
more
did-
time,
so he
too.
played-
Nick
last
Bosa's
year.
missed a lot of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Nick
Yeah,
has
yeah,
missed
yeah.
time.
And Joey
Call him
played
up.
between 22. He played 5 games. 23 only played 9 games, and then
Listen,
he played 14 and 15 the last 2.
He's
So
not a
been more
game
versatile.
changer at this point in his
No, he's
career,
not. But
he's a veteran,
he's a veteran.
decent player.
knows
but still.
the drill.
You
And
need
could
bodies.
help.
Do you know
At
what's
this
funny?
point, that's what you need.
Do you know what's funny about Joey Bosa, real quick?
Yeah.
Before the Miles trade, so you got to turn the clocks back a while. Fox Sports did an article of one veteran that each NFL team should consider, and I put the Joey Bosa top, and I got laughed at. I think Bull, you
Yeah.
actually laughed at me like, this is a ridiculous exercise. They have Myles Garrett. Bosa would want to go to a winning team.
Yeah.
You were right at the time.
Yeah, now he has no
So
choice.
much
I mean,
stuff
things
has
change,
changed.
though.
He is not signed that. I genuinely think Joey Bosa is a legitimate option for Andrew Berry and the Browns to look at. If they were considering Clowney and they were considering Zadarius Smith, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
consider Joey Bosa
but
now
yeah.
when you
There's
lost
been
Alex
no
Wright?
buzz on any of these. I haven't heard rumors on any of these guys that I can think of. So
No, me either.
I don't know, but listen, you might at this point. I didn't think they necessarily needed a veteran before this injury because I'd rather go with young guys on a young team. But at this point, I mean, you got to have players that can at least be serviceable at the position.
Of the two sides of the ball, I think, even though I had concerns about the defense taking a step back,
Yeah.
of the two sides of the ball, I think it's pretty clear that this is still a defensive-dominated team.
Yeah.
That they still have the bulk of the talent
Yeah.
on that side of the football. Now, the offense is pushing with some of these young guys, but right now, our strength is still the defense.
Yeah.
You cannot take a step backwards there. You can't. You've got to do everything you can to remain one of the top, at least 10 defenses in the NFL, and that's going to be a stretch now.
Yeah.
If you don't have another good edge pass rusher to help with the double teams.
And
Versus
remember,
gonna see.
even though Hole and Graham are back, they're still very thin at defensive tackle because all their backup D tackles, I think their third, fourth, and fifth tackles are all out right now.
The thing about the Browns defense, which I think we've seen over training camp, they are not very deep at pretty much every position. And that is the problem.
Yeah.
When you see the quarterbacks who's going with the second team lighting it up each week, it's like, oh, well, that's because the defensive backs that are going with the second team defense might not be on this team, might not be good enough to
Sure,
make this team.
right.
They just don't have enough depth. And that is the Browns' biggest problem right now on both sides of the ball, but specifically on the defensive side of the ball. And one thing I want to say about everyone freaks out about the cart coming out. They were doing one-on-ones on the furthest end of the field from the locker room.
Yeah.
And when you got those big guys
You don't want them to walk
on
that
a hot day,
Yeah.
and especially a lower leg injury,
Yeah.
you call the cart, whether it's a cramp, you call the cart if they're tired,
See, now
you call
that
the cart.
is an optimistic spin.
There you go.
That's
That is.
optimistic.
That's
I'm
an
not-
optimistic spin.
I'm not saying that that's what happened.
No,
I'm just saying everyone sees the cart and thinks
Listen,
it's the worst.
It's great context.
Yes.
I wouldn't have known how close to the locker room he was.
That's true.
I'm glad to hear that. On the other end of it, I think when a player goes down, if he can walk under his own power,
He usually does.
that's a strong message to the other guys in camp. Hey, he's okay, guys. He's up and walking.
Yeah, right.
Let's go. Let's get this
Yeah.
thing. And the fact that he rode in the cart, I like your plausible explanation. I just don't know if I'm buying it quite
Fingers
yet.
crossed that hoping he's okay.
All right. Hey, we've got some good Guardians baseball to talk about.
I don't want.
They've won a series. It wasn't against a great team, but they won a series. We'll talk about that and what we need to see in Denver this weekend to get excited about our club.